Hello YouTube! Time for my second video of the day. It's gonna be my first review of the day. Second review I've done for this channel. How I'm gonna do is Red Mecca by the English industrial electronic band Cabaret Voltaire. It was released in 1981. And let's just say, really great album. I'm just gonna get that out of here. The reason I'm doing this review first is it was just an album that I listened to the other day after a while of not listening to it, and I just forgot how gripping of a listen it was. First thing to talk about is the overall sound of the album. In the late 70s, industrial as a genre really only consisted of a few bands. The top two being Throbbing Gristle and this band here, Cabaret Voltaire. And while they both qualify as industrial, it's very easy to tell them apart. Their sounds are worlds apart, different. Both of them are harsh in a way, but while it's easy to forget like Throbbing Gristle and just put them straight into noise, as that's the industrial attack, Cabaret Voltaire was much more rigid but grooving in a way. It's much more of an assault on your ears and on your body in a way. This was the last album to have the full three members of Cabaret Voltaire to participate in it. Stephen Melinder, who was on bass and vocals, as well as doing bongos on the few tracks. Richard H. Kirk, who did the guitar and synthesizers and horns. He played saxophone and clarinet on this album, and he first got in the band as a clarinet player. And Chris Watson, who did a bunch of the tape loops and recorded several of the percussion tracks, programmed that. So the overall sound of the album, it's disturbing in the best way possible. It's so of itself in its just blown up quality of everything. Just every instrument is taken to a level of unreality in the effects put on it, to the just overall playing of the instruments. The guitars at times sound exactly like just static, as if your headphones have broken at a time, but in a good way. The bass sounds like molten metal, if that makes sense to you. The percussion is clanging and industrial, to say the least. It sounds like a factory or a junkyard, just so metallic and clanging. And the vocals are just great. It's impossible to make out what they're saying half the time, but each track has such menace in the vocals, and the vocals almost remind me of Trent Reznor in a way. It has a Trent Reznor-esque sneer to it, but this group existed before them, before Nine Inch Nails, so I think it works the other way around. But also the vocals are treated with so many effects that they sound inhuman. At points they remind me of like Daleks from Doctor Who, just in this incredibly like ring modulated thing. And if I had to just sort of describe the sound in terms of music, do it in either two ways. It sounds like a late 80s Depeche Mode song that was being backed by some sort of dub reggae producer producing it, and with vocals performed by a demon in your computer. Or it sounds like some industrial warehouse getting funky. I think that's the definition of industrial. It's music that reflects this landscape, because the band's from Sheffield, one of the most industrial cities in England. It's an album in and of itself, really, but I'm sure you can pick out a few influences here and there. You can pick out a little bit of a reggae influenced guitar pattern in a few songs, in the rhythm of it, but the tone of the guitar is different than that. It has also in the song A Thousand Ways, the krautrock influence in the band comes through with a lot of weird Can-esque sort of keyboard bits, and as well as an overall focus on repetition. And I think I read one time that the main influences on this album were Throbbing Gristle, Brian Eno, James Brown, Black Sabbath, The Clash, and Doctor Who. And I think that all shines through in here. You have the studio effects of a Brian Eno album, but also the harshness of a Throbbing Gristle track, the aggression of The Clash, as well as the dark atmospherics and doomy sound of Black Sabbath, with, just the funkiness of James Brown. Because that's one thing that, I wasn't expecting from the album. It has a distinct influence in just the groove of it. All the bass in it is very funk influenced. On the song Slide Out, it has slap bass in it, and the relationship between the drum machines and the bass is almost funk in a way. So that's about all I can say about the album. Another plug, not just this album, which I'd give a 10 out of 10 to, because it's an amazing listen if you're open to it, is the book Rip It Up and Start Again by Simon Reynolds, which I read about 2 years ago. It's all about that whole post-punk era, which Cabaret Voltaire was marginally a part of, and it'll inform you about a lot of great bands like Joy Division or Public Image Limited or Wire, all that stuff. Great book if you're into any of that more experimental rock stuff from the late 70s and early 80s. Go check that book out.